Jam Butty Boy is the reluctant fell runner. Series 2, Episode 1. A Christmas Special. Jam Butty walked up the dark street heading to the scout hut and the monthly fell running group meeting. There were tiny little dots of sleet being blown around that got in his eyes, and he huddled deeper into his jacket. It's a good job they put Christmas where it is to cheer everyone up. Get all the lights up and the food and drink out, he thought. It'd be a bit grim otherwise. He remembered reading that the early Christians had hijacked the previous pagan festival spot in the annual calendar. I guess we've always wanted cheering up at this time of year, he thought. There were Christmas trees in the windows of a lot of the houses, and lights round windows and over trees in the gardens. Does make a big difference, he thought. I hope they've got that heater on inside the scout hut. It makes a bit of a difference. That scout hut is the coldest building in the world. Doesn't matter what time of year it is. At least at this time of year it doesn't smell of mould. It's too cold even for the mould to survive in there. He could hear the gang chatting away inside and their distinctive voices. When he went in and shut the door behind him, it went suddenly quiet. He turned to find them all staring at him suspiciously. He stopped in his tracks and stared back. "What?" he said. They did not answer and just stared at him. He surreptitiously slid his hand down and quickly checked his flies. Not that. "What's with the faces?" he said. "Have I got two heads or something? You're freaking me out." The toilet flushed in the back, and they shifted about uncomfortably in their chairs. JB looked in that direction. He could hear the taps going, and then the hand dryer. Whoever it was about to come out and join them. The door squeaked open, and out came Melanie, Peaches, shaking her hands to get the excess water off them. She was obviously and heavily pregnant. She had a fresh-faced bloom about her. She stopped in her tracks and stared at him with a curious smile. "Melanie," said JB, and he went over to her and gave her a big hug, being careful to lean over her bump. She seemed pleased. "You look absolutely bloody gorgeous," he said. The others moved about and wondered how she would take it. "Not really," she said, blushing and smiling. "I look like a fat whale." "A fat whale?" laughed JB. "Not even just a whale?" "Well, I think you look absolutely amazing. Look at those rosy cheeks," said JB, touching her cheek. "I'm so pleased for you. Doesn't she look amazing, boys?"
Yes, she does look well,"
said Yorkshire.
I said that. Didn't I say that?
Yes you did,"
said Three Coats.
Looks well,"
said Camo.
"JB's right. She looks bloody gorgeous."
The awkwardness in the room was starting to break. "Can I?" said JB, smiling and holding out his hand. "Go on," she said with a pleasant sigh. "At least you asked first." JB stretched out his hand and felt the tight round drum of her tummy and the little belly button knot forced out. "The last remaining wonder of the world," said JB, gently moving his hand. Melanie smiled and looked proud. "I've discovered when you are pregnant, your bump becomes public property," she said. "Particularly little old ladies. They just grab it in the street." "It," said JB. You mean you? Grab you? Melanie thought about it and had a quizzical expression. Strange, really, she said. It's hard to describe. It's definitely me, and I'm aware of everything happening. But it's also strangely not me, both at the same time. Doesn't make sense, really.
A dichotomy,
said Yorkshire.
That's what they call that. That's a dichotomy, that is.
Melanie patted the top of her bump gently. Well, this little dichotomy is sitting right on the top of my bladder, so be kind and keep a clear path to the bathroom, will you? So, do you know if little dichotomy is going to be a girl or a boy? Said JB. Ha ha, said Melanie. I don't know, but Mike asked. I've threatened to kill him if he tells me. I'm old-fashioned that way. I think I know from the little things he's said, though. JB and Melanie were stood and the others were sat down. JB could see Camo gently rocking on his chair.
Oh, go on. Can I have a go?
Said Camo, getting up without waiting for a reply.
Oh, me too, please,
said Yorkshire.
And me three,
said Three Courts. The other two patiently waited behind Camo. He was stooped over and nearly took all of Melanie's bump in his giant hand.
I know you love number 3, Brian, but you're actually number 4, if you don't forget JB,
said Yorkshire. Three Coats was impractically trying to look over Yorkshire and Camo to see what was going on.
Who can forget JB?
He said.
Keeps turning up like a bad penny, he does.
JB looked at him. Thanks, he said.
Sorry, JB,
said Three Coats.
I don't know why I said that. It's what my granddad used to say. It just came into my head and popped out. Sorry.
JB smiled. No worries, Three Coats, he said. But don't forget you're a number 2.
That's right,
said Three Coats.
And don't you forget it. I'll forever be a number 2 now.
Yes, you certainly will, said JB.
Caw, reminds me of when our Sharon was pregnant with our first,
said Camo, standing up straight and moving out of the way for Yorkshire's turn at the bump.
When I found out it was a boy, well...
Camo struggled for words.
Ha ha! Camo's got a little tear in his eye,
said Yorkshire.
You're nothing but a big old softy, you are, Camo.
No, I'm not,
said Camo.
I think it was those onions I was chopping for me tea. Mustn't have got all the onion smell off me hands, that's all.
Camo suddenly turned and dabbed at his eye. Oh no, Camo. Are you all right? Said Melanie, rubbing Camo's arm. Don't do that, laughed JB to Melanie. Don't do what? She said. That will really set him off. Everyone knows it's when a girl says, "Oh, are you all right?" That's the thing that sets a boy off. Probably reminds him of the mum when they were a kid. Oh, I didn't know, said Melanie. She turned and rubbed Camo's arm again and said, Sorry, Camo. You're doing it again? Laughed JB. Oh, yes. Sorry, Camo, said Melanie. Oh, I've gone and done it again. JB laughed. Yorkshire prodded Camo in the belly.
Does Melanie saying sorry remind you of your mummy when you graze your knee? And did she kiss it better? Oh, there, Camo.
My mum's dead,
said Camo.
Oh, bloody hell, yes, of course. I've done that before. How stupid of me. Sorry, Camo,
said Yorkshire.
Anyway, you'll understand when you've had your first child,
said Camo.
OK, don't rub it in. Don't rub it in,
said Yorkshire.
You sound like my mother.
Why are we all being sorry for Camo again?
said Three Coats.
I'd have loved to have been 6'5" as a kid, I would. I'd have really made use of that.
Like what? What would you have done? Get things off high shelves for little old ladies in supermarkets? What real use do you think it would be?
Well, no one picks on you when you're 6'5", do they?
said Three Coats.
You would be the one doing all the picking on.
Is that what you'd want it for? said JB. To bully people? But that would be wrong, though. Wouldn't it, Three Coats?
I suppose,
said Three Coats.
Is that what you think?
said Camo.
People were always picking fights with me because I was so big.
I didn't know,
said Three Coats.
If you want to be good at fighting, you should ask JB to teach you some of his tricks,
said Yorkshire. said Three Coats.
I don't need JB's help.
Anyway, enough of that, said JB, turning to Melanie. What are you doing here? Thanks, said Melanie. You know what I mean, laughed JB.
How long is it that you're back for?
said Yorkshire.
Did you come back for the baby?
said Camo.
Are you only staying a bit, or are you back for good?
said Three Coats. Melanie lifted her head up with her eyebrows high on her forehead at the onslaught of questions. Let her sit down, said JB.
Oh, of course. We are all forgetting the manners the good Lord gave us,
said Yorkshire, quickly grabbing and pulling out a chair. Melanie walked through and took her seat. When she looked up, everyone was staring at her. Well, the plan always was for us to come home at Christmas. My parents are getting on a bit, and I really didn't like to leave them for too long. I'll be staying around for a bit longer though now, and my mum can help me with the baby, while Mike goes back a bit early, and then I'll follow over in a couple of months.
That will be nice for your mum,
said Camo.
Me mum got to see me first kid, which was nice, but not me second.
Don't set him off again,
said Yorkshire. You seem to have been keeping yourself fit, said JB, changing the subject from live and dead mothers. Thanks, she said. Yes, I was running until a couple of weeks ago. Now I'm power walking every day.
Are you supposed to be doing that?
said Three Coats.
Will it not be bad for the baby?
Brian,
said Yorkshire, looking at him harshly.
What?
said Three Coats.
I thought ladies were supposed to rest when pregnant. Take it easy.
This is not the 18th century, you know, Brian,
said Yorkshire.
They don't go into confinement either, you know.
I didn't know,
said Three Coats.
Anyway, how come you always call me Brian when you're telling me off, and not Three Coats?
Well, didn't realise I was,
said Yorkshire. It's all right, Three Coats, said Melanie. I've been given the all clear by my doctor to carry on. They reckon it's good for the pelvic floor and makes childbirth a little easier.
Oh, see?
said Three Coats.
All you had to do was tell me.
Oh, look who's touchy,
said Yorkshire. Three Coats folded his arms over his chest and quietly fumed. I was wondering if we could resurrect an old tradition while I'm back, said Melanie. I've been looking forward to it, actually.
Oh, I love traditions,
said Camo, perking up.
What is it?
Ew, I'm not so keen on old traditions, but I'm stuck with a lot more than you lot are. Half of you lot don't know anyone beyond your grandparents. My lineage goes all the way back to William the Bastard's time. It was his fault, actually, starting to chronicle everything in the Doomsday Book. If he hadn't have bothered, I'd probably be in blissful ignorance, just like you lot are.
Thanks, said JB.
Of course,
said Yorkshire.
William the Bastard?
Said Camor.
You mean Conqueror?
I am using the word correctly,
said Yorkshire disparagingly.
He was an illegitimate son, and in my view, an illegitimate king.
Conqueror, though, smiled JB.
Yes, well, don't rub it in,
said Yorkshire.
If it wasn't for him.
What? Said JB. You'd own even more land than you already do? Yorkshire thought a moment.
Yes, we would actually. There's that bit that's now in Wales. William the Bastard traded it for 1,000 pigs to Lord Scrugham to feed his army before battle. We've always coveted our Welsh lands back.
Yes, mister, I've got a medieval grudge,
said Camor.
Melanie was talking about a tradition, not you and yours again.
Oh, yes, quite, said Yorkshire. Pray forgive me. You were saying about a tradition, Melanie?
Oh, yes. I forgot I was talking about that. I'm starting to get a bit forgetful. Melanie absent-mindedly patted her bump. Over the back of Old Duffer is a pine tree. I think it was someone's Christmas tree, and rather than just getting rid of it, they had the idea to plant it up there. It was a tradition of my old club that got disbanded, to go up and over Old Duffer and to decorate it for Christmas. You know, take up some tinsel each and a few ornaments. Someone would take up mince pies. Someone else would bring mulled wine in a flask and paper cups. I think we even had crackers up there one year.
Ew, what a great idea,
said Yorkshire.
That's a tradition I can get fully behind.
That is the best thing I've ever heard,
said Camor, all excited.
My two favourite things together, fell running and Christmas.
Not my two favourite things, said Three Coats to himself absent-mindedly. They're number 3 and 4 for me. Oh, yeah, said JB. What's number 1 and 2 for you then, Three Coats? Three Coats was taken by surprise. He looked up at Melanie and suddenly went sheepish. It went silent. Camel looked at him.
Yeah, what's better than fell running and Christmas?
Said Three Coats.
Yes, Brian, pray tell,
said Yorkshire.
There you go, calling me Brian again,
said Three Coats.
Stop changing the subject,
said Camor.
Come on, spit it out. What's better?
Three Coats looked around, trapped. Sex and cars, said Three Coats, not looking in Melanie's direction. It went silent, and then everyone burst out laughing.
What?
Said Three Coats, and it eventually went quiet. What's number 1? Said Melanie. Three Coats went bright red.
Cars?
He said. Oh, would be sex for me, said Melanie, smiling. Not another Christmas Immaculate Conception, then? Said JB. No, she laughed, punching him on the arm.
Anyway,
said Camor.
When are we doing it, and what are we each taking?
Eh?
Said Yorkshire.
For the old Duffer Christmas tree.
Oh yes,
said Yorkshire.
I'll take tinsel and mince pies,
said Camor, so excited. I think we've got some mulled wine I could bring, said JB.
Eggnog,
said Three Coats.
can we have eggnog?
Certainly not,
said Yorkshire.
Blasted American traditions sneaking in everywhere. We are not barbarians, you know. Eggnog indeed.
I like eggnog,
said Three Coats. Thought you liked sex in cars, said JB. Oh, Three Coats.
Yes, that's all very funny, JB, but we must move on and get this organised,
said Yorkshire.
Oh, hang on. Come to think of it, we can't do it.
Why not?
said Camo, annoyed. I'll still have 3 weeks before I'm due, said Melanie. I'll be fine. I don't want to miss out, seeing as it was my idea.
No, it's not that,
said Yorkshire.
We can't do it on environmental grounds. It's all tinsel and Christmas ornaments to us, of course, but to Mother Nature, it's just litter.
Bloody Christmas Grinch here,
said Camo.
When did you turn green?
I'll have you know I've always been green, Camo. I've always been environmentally conscious, Grinch or no. I'll not be a party to spoiling Mother Nature, even for Christmas,
said Yorkshire.
Dagnammit,
said Camo. Can I get a word in? said Melanie.
Yes, of course,
said Yorkshire. It doesn't stay there, Yorkshire, said Melanie. Someone goes up the following week at New Year and takes all the decorations down again.
Of course,
said Yorkshire, snorting.
That's a sensible solution. Should have thought.
Happy now, Mr. Christmas Grinch,
said Camo.
I was only thinking of Mother Nature,
said Yorkshire. Can't have an argument setting Mother Nature against baby Jesus, said JB.
No, definitely not,
said Camo.
Who do you think could win?
said Three Coats.
You what?
said Camo.
You want to see a fight between baby Jesus and Mother Nature, you sicko,
said Yorkshire.
No,
said Three Coats.
I didn't think that through. Sorry. Sorry, baby Jesus.
I should think so,
said Camo.
Right, so we are following the good fell principle of leave no trace,
said Yorkshire.
Excellent, excellent.
Oh!
Camo clapped and rubbed his hands together, all excited. No trace apart from the Christmas tree, said JB.
Yes, apart from that,
said Yorkshire.
And the cinder path,
said Camo.
Yes, and the cinder path,
said Yorkshire.
Trees,
said Three Coats.
What are you on about now, Three Coats?
said Yorkshire.
I did some research.
said Three Coats.
Camo's right. Old Duffer should be covered in trees, not heather. When the heather starts to get too long and bushes form, the gamekeepers burn it back in sections so that they don't get trees growing.
Why do they do that? said Melanie.
So they can breed the ground-dwelling birds for shooting.
said Three Coats.
The grouse you see up there.
Oh, yes, of course they do,
said Yorkshire.
How could I forget?
So, said JB, we're taking the man-made materials back to keep the man-made version of Mother Nature intact,
that's right,
said Camo. Not confusing at all, then, said Melanie.
No.
No. No. No. Time for a brew, everyone, said JB. Oh, yes, please, said Melanie. Thought you'd never ask. JB was making the tea and coffee order and Yorkshire sidled up to him suspiciously and looked around so no one could hear him.
I've been doing the maths, and I think you are in the clear, my dear friend,
he said.
What are you on about?
Said JB.
Melanie's baby. They left for Nebraska 9 months ago, and she's not due for another 3 weeks. So you're in the clear.
JB nearly spat his teeth out.
I don't need to count. I know I'm in the clear.
Yorkshire gave him a look like he didn't believe him.
Careful, or I might accidentally spit in your tea, my friend,
said JB.
You wouldn't,
said Yorkshire.
Don't tempt me,
said JB. With the help of Yorkshire, JB carried all the teas and coffees back to the group.
Oh, lovely,
said Camo.
Just a ticket,
said Yorkshire. Camo drank down a big gulp of the tea, sucking in a breath to keep it cool.
Why does this tea taste the best brew of all week?
Said Camo in his half-angry way.
Why can't I make a brew as good as this?
Everything tastes better if you don't do it yourself, said JB. And your house is nice and warm and cosy, so you won't feel the benefit. This is the coldest building on earth. Camo was a little mollified.
You're probably right,
he said.
Anyway, enough about that. When are we going up Old Duffer to decorate the tree? I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Everyone looked at Melanie as it was her idea. I suppose a couple of hours on Christmas Day would be out of the question for everyone, she said.
Oh, yes, indeed, tradition,
said Yorkshire.
That's when we see all the relatives that we like.
Wife will kill me leaving her with the kids, with them all excited like,
said Camo.
I'd come back to a destroyed house.
So, how about Christmas Eve then? She said, tentatively.
I could do that,
said Camo. Yeah, said JB. Think I could make Christmas Eve.
I could too,
said Three Coats.
No, sorry,
said Yorkshire.
That's another tradition. Christmas Eve, that's when me and Mummy have to see all the relatives we don't like. You go without me then. Duty gets in the way again.
Yorkshire sighed.
Damn, blast, and bother.
Hang on, said JB. We've not gone without you yet. What about the day before Christmas Eve? That's close enough to Christmas. You're not seeing any relatives you do or don't like then, are you?
No. My schedule is free of all commitments on the 23rd,
he said. They all looked around at each other and everyone nodded.
What time?
Said Camo, still the most excited of them all. Everyone looked again at Melanie. Should we meet at the gamekeeper's cottage at the bottom at 1 p.m? We will get the best of the daylight and hopefully decent weather then. There was a discussion of who was going to bring what, led by an excited Camo. It was all agreed, and there was a frisson of excitement in the air.
I've not felt like this about Christmas since I was a kid,
said Camo.
No, it should bring a little sparkle to the season this year,
said Yorkshire. So, we are all set then, said Melanie. I'd better be off. Everyone started to get up to leave.
See you on the 23rd, everyone,
said Yorkshire.
Christmas Eve,
said Three Coats.
Hey guys, that's Christmas Eve, that is. Hey guys, Christmas Eve, get it? Christmas Eve. Yes, Three Coats,
said Yorkshire. Three Coats was all excited, and they looked at him nonplussed.
Why are you not saying any more about it? It's great, that. Christmas Eve,
he said again.
Because we did that when we were 7,
said Camo.
6 for me,
said Yorkshire. I think I was younger than that, said JB. Me and my friend Dennis Salmon used to love stuff like that. I can remember saying I was 4 before, on my 5th birthday. It kept us giggling for ages.
Oh, happy days, when you were a kid,
said Camo wistfully.
Well, I've never heard it before,
said Three Coats put out.
Hang on, who's going to lock up then?
Said Camo, slightly nervous.
Oh, yes,
said Yorkshire, involuntarily shivering.
I did it when we opened up,
said Three Coats.
No one should have to do it twice in one night. Can't be my turn.
I'll do it, said JB.
Oh, good,
said Camo, setting off to his car before JB could change his mind. Everyone unconsciously let out a little sigh of relief. Oof. While they all walked out to their cars, JB walked across to the far side of the room. The light switch near the door was not working, and the only way to switch the lights on and off in the big room was by the switch over the other side. When JB reached it, he had a quick look to remind himself of the route back, so that he didn't clatter into any of the chairs or other things. He switched the light off, and it went dark. He was faced with the usual 2 choices: hurry across to get it over with, or wait and see if his eyes adjusted. He waited a few moments. There was one window on the right side of the building that was covered with a fine metal mesh to stop vandals breaking the windows, that let in a little light from the faraway street lights and the moon and the stars. He could see vague shapes in the dark. He did not know what it was, but every time he passed through the middle of the room, he would have an intense experience that was always of the same type. He started to walk across, and when he was near the middle of the room, he had an image of being in a Second World War submarine that had been hit by depth charges. Water was spurting in, klaxons going off. It was a full colour, full sound video clip playing in his mind. There was someone there he could not fully see. When he tried to look at him, the image vanished. He had only took another step and it was back again. He had the intense feeling of being there. The person had a decision to make: save themselves or save everyone else. The worst thing about it would be that everyone else would be saved, but they would not even know that he had done it. Saved everyone, yet died alone, and the act unknown. The person saved everyone, and just before they died, in his waking dream, the image disappeared, and he was at the open door. The video clip was gone, and he could not bring it back, just feel its presence like a heavy hand on his back. Everyone was already in their cars and queuing to leave the car park, Melanie at the front. "Thanks for waiting, chaps," he said out loud to himself. He thought how weird it was that it happened every time crossing that room. Sometimes the same images, sometimes a new one, but always the same: an unknown hero dying an unknown death, and alone. "That must have happened," he said out loud to himself. "Well, I'll never know who you are, or exactly what you did, but I can salute you now, and say thank you. So thank you. What is it about that room?" he thought. The cold, the dark, the musty smell, all of it together. Melanie turned into the street, and her car was side onto him. Her face, caught in the streetlights, was all happy and relaxed. She gave him a little wave, and he waved back. He remembered the birth of his children. She's got no idea what's coming her way, he thought. He thought of the trip up old Duffer Pike to decorate the tree. That's where poor Chewy got caught out, he thought. As the cars left, one by one, he could not get the image of Chewy up on the mounting, turning blue, out of his mind.